Government is warning that South Africa will run out of water by 2030. The Water and Sanitation Department says the country must improve its management of this precious resource. So while Cape Town's drought crisis has eased, other parts of the country are facing major water shortages. The department's Deputy Director General Trevor Balzer joins us now from our Pretoria studio to tell us more about this. Trevor, good morning and thanks for your time this morning. Now, we're reading that South Africa will run out of water by 2030 unless we improve our management of the precious resource. How do we actually go about improving this? Where does the problem lie? Firstly, where does the problem lie at the moment?
Good morning, Yuveka. Thank you very much. We've just completed a master plan which has been considered by Cabinet, and we're going to take it through a Pakisa planning system. But based on our projections, we project that on a do-nothing approach, we could have a 17% deficit in water supply by 2030. So there are a number of interventions we have to put into place to make sure we don't reach that point. Some of the interventions would be building new capacity between now and 2030, and there are a number of projects which are already underway to do that. There's the Clan William Dam in the Western Cape, there's the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, there's the raising of the Hazelmere Dam, amongst others. The other aspects which we have to deal with very urgently relate to the water conservation and demand management, where in our municipal areas in particular, our per capita consumption is way above the world average, and we have to bring that down as well. Together with bringing consumption down, we have to deal with the issue of the high water losses within the municipal sector, which currently sit at about 41%. So we've got to arrest that as well. And if we put those interventions in place, by 2030 we can have a slight surplus in water availability. So there are actions that can certainly be taken to arrest the situation.
And I suppose we could always look at Cape Town and how it has managed to survive the drought, Trevor, as an example of that this can be done.
Yes, indeed. I mean, if you look at what we've managed throughout the country, and the focus of late has very much been on the Western Cape and the city of Cape Town, but we've been managing drought conditions in the country since 2014, and just on Friday last week, the 31st of August, we published a notice in the Gazette lifting the restrictions from the Mgeni system, which supply the metro areas of eThekwini and Mzanduzi. So, you know, we have managed ourselves through the drought in the Western Cape. The system is recovering quite nicely, with the system sitting as of yesterday at 66.2% when you compare that with last year when it was at 34.71%. And with the rain overnight, we expect to see a slight improvement in reservoir levels as well. But we're still managing the Western Cape under drought conditions, and once the system reaches 85%, we'll take that decision to drop restrictions.
Trevor, I mean, let's talk about urbanization and what impact this is happening. I mean, as we try to sort of meet the demand for housing, we see more and more people, more houses being built. It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't that? Because, I mean, the more urbanization we have, the more impact this is going to have on our water availability or use.
Yes, indeed. Urbanization does have an impact on our water availability, and particularly the sprawling informal settlements that take place around the main urban centres. But in terms of government's programs and some of the resolutions coming out of the recent Cabinet Lekgotla, we will be dealing with those municipalities in particular where there's high rates of urbanization, to make sure that we certainly provide sufficient water to meet demands going forward. So those are all part of the programs which are embedded into the master plan.
And you speak of our wetlands, and South Africa losing more than half of the wetlands and almost a third of those in very poor condition. What's our next move there with regard to that?
Just repeat the question, please, Uveka.
The state of our wetlands at the moment, and so that being highlighted as one of the problems, that we've lost more than half of our wetlands. Almost a third of those that do exist are in a very poor condition. How do we fix that?
Yes, indeed. Thanks for that. In terms of what we've referenced in the master plan, we've indicated that about 50% of our water supply in South Africa comes from 10% of the land area, and that's in the areas where we've got our wetlands and our high-producing water areas, which we call our water factories. Now, we are working with the Department of Environment Affairs, and certain of those critical areas will be declared strategic water resource areas, but that will come in terms of the work that we do with Department of Environment Affairs, and currently we are working with them with a program which is being funded through the Global Environment Fund to deal with our ecological infrastructure.
Right, thanks very much for that, Trevor. Balzer from the Department of Water and Sanitation.